What's going on, everybody? It's attorney Chris Waggener, an attorney out of the St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay area. And I practice personal injury law these days, which is a lot of car accidents. But before I did that, I was a public defender for a couple of years. And I've tried dozens of criminal law cases. So I'm going to do another reacting to cops clips video again today. Got a clip queued up for you right here. I have no idea what this one's going to be about. So let's hop right into it. All right, let's see what we're getting into with this one.
You may like to change,
Washington State.
And go home to sleep here in a little bit. Have to sleep during the day. Kids are in the house, keep me awake, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I really enjoy the job. It gives me everything I need. I get my daily adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline
like I'm
junkie.
doing something positive. I enjoy the people I work with. I like it. So might not be for everybody, but it's for me. It's a good fit. This car just came out of a dope house. It was there for just a couple minutes. It's a house that I've stopped several cars where they're dealing dope out of there. And so we're just going to do a Terry stop. We're going to stop and talk to them, explain to them why they're coming out of a dope house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
All right, let's talk about that. So, as I've mentioned in a lot of other videos, you can't just be stopped by the police whenever they want to stop you. They have to have a reason to stop you. And this guy's going to do a quote-unquote Terry stop, which he's referencing a very famous, very important case called Terry v. Ohio. It's a U.S. Supreme Court case. It was found back in the 50s and 60s. And long story short, the Supreme Court basically said that officers who make stops, whether it be in a car or on the ground, walking around, they have to have a reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is occurring in order to stop them. So what's a reasonable suspicion? Well, that becomes like tons of different things. And that's one of the most fun things to do in criminal law, in my opinion, is trying to determine whether or not does the cop actually have a reasonable suspicion to make a stop. And the reason it's important is because the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says that all citizens are free of illegal searches and seizures. And stopping someone on the street or stopping someone in their car is considered a seizure. Your freedom has been restricted. You have been seized by the government, the police in this situation, in order for them to do an investigation, right? Like that's what he wants to do. He's investigating these people coming out of a quote unquote dope house. So breaking this down, right? Let's talk about the facts that are in front of this police officer, right? So let me just acknowledge from the beginning that this guy's probably not wrong. This cop's probably not wrong. This is probably a house where they sell drugs, okay? But the problem is that you could say any house is a house that's selling drugs. You could just drive into a dilapidated industrial part of town and say, you see that building right there? They sell dope out of that building. I'm going to just stop everybody that comes out of that building. You can just pick them at random and just say, oh, yeah, that's a dope house. So what makes a house a dope house? How do they know that drugs are actually being sold in there? Has he seen anybody selling drugs in there? And even if it had at one time been a drug house where they're actually selling drugs, let's say that it was. Let's say that they'd seen people actually selling drugs. Here's money, drugs go into the hands. They see the actual drugs being sold. Who's to say they didn't stop doing it? Like how else would they see it? I'm assuming that if they saw drugs being sold, they would have arrested the guys that were selling the drugs, right? That's a reasonable thing to think. So my suspicion right now is they don't have enough evidence to take down the people who are selling drugs inside of this house, but they're pretty certain that there's drugs being sold inside the house. And now they're going to stop this guy just driving away. How do you know that this guy bought drugs? How do you know this guy's selling drugs? Maybe he was just visiting some of his friends who are actually drug dealers. It's not illegal to have friends who are drug dealers. It's just illegal to sell drugs. So this guy's now going to get stopped, and I would be willing to bet this is a bad stop. In other words, if I got this case, I would fight the stop itself. So any evidence that this cop is going to get from this individual and in this vehicle is likely not going to be admissible in court, and he's going to lose the entire case. What he should have done is followed this guy for a little while and waited for him to commit some kind of traffic violation, because that would have given him a reason to stop him.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Can I see your driver's license, your registration, and proof of insurance?
Lincoln 44. Yes. For 4 Nora,
ignition key is on the front driver's seat.
Do you have any ID, sir?
Yes, we do.
Can I see it, please? You headed to the Department of License right now?
No, we're going back to the motel
Where
room.
are you staying?
Up on Pack Highway.
I'm back on Pike Highway?
Yeah.
Where on Pike Highway?
Motel 6.
Motel 6?
I know, the flag down the second
Okay,
shift.
well, you keep looking for it. I'll be back in just a moment, okay? Nora 5, 2 names. Ida, Nora, George, Edward, Robert, 12-10, break.
So it's interesting that he didn't tell the two why he pulled him over.
Is that?
Yeah.
See, he's suspended third broad pay ticket as of 11/18 of 95.
Is the license suspended?
Otherwise clear.
Right.
Copy.
So it sounds like the license came back suspended, which means she's driving on a suspended license, which is a
I'm
crime.
going to talk to her. Miss,
Yeah.
can you step out of the car? Can you just turn and face the car for me? I want to make sure you don't have any weapons on you, okay? You have anything on you you need to tell me about?
No, I don't have nothing.
Okay, relax, relax.
5. Okay.
Okay, come on back here, back in my car for me.
All right, so no handcuffs.
Is it okay if I smoke?
Yeah, I don't mind if you smoke. I'm trying to give up Copenhagen myself, so you're driving me nuts. But where are you coming from tonight?
We were up on Pack Highway at the motel.
And then how'd you end up in this neighborhood?
All right, so with all due respect to this police officer, it's none of his business. It's none of his business where they're coming from, where they're going. This is why the Constitution has a right to unreasonable searches and seizures. He has seized them, and now he's conducting an investigation to find out what exactly. You know, it's interesting that, you know, it sounded like the license was suspended, but he didn't lead with that. He hasn't said, hey, it came back that your license was suspended. That's enough to make an arrest. Now, he may be about to arrest her, which is why he got her out of the car. And frankly, if during an investigation, it's okay for a police officer to temporarily detain somebody. They can put handcuffs on them. They can make them sit on their hands for officer safety in order to continue to conduct the investigation. However, as I've already explained, I think this is an illegal investigation. This guy's out here fishing. So she needs to stop talking. She can't stop talking.
Well, I don't know this neighborhood very well, and neither does he. And we were looking for a restaurant that's open.
Okay. How do you know him?
I've only known him about 3 months.
About 3 months. Are you
I
boyfriend,
know.
girlfriend sort of thing? Or
Yeah.
yeah? Straight up, do you use drugs?
I'm an addict and an alcoholic, yeah.
Okay. How about him?
I don't, he drinks beer.
So
You think he uses drugs?
It's not illegal to be a drug addict. It's not illegal to be an alcoholic. This is an overreach by this officer asking all these really personable questions. Is he going to ask her if she has an STD now or if she has AIDS?
I can't tell you that. I don't know.
You think he has any drugs on you right now?
I don't
On
have
him?
shit on me.
All
No.
right, so
Okay.
now he's asking her for
How about
to confess.
weapons? Any weapons in the car?
No.
All right. So this is driving me crazy. He has pulled these people over with no reason to pull them over, from what I can tell. Like, they pulled out of a suspicious house. That's his reasoning for pulling them over. And he's just straight up asking them, literally has pulled her out of the car, right? Patted her down. And now he's like, you got any drugs on you? Like, come on. Like, this is why the Constitution exists. This is exactly why these laws exist, is to stop guys like this from conducting searches like this one. Now, you know, she may have drugs on her. It wouldn't surprise me if they find drugs on her. But the point is what if this was your friend? What if this was your aunt? What if this was your grandmother? You know, and they weren't drug addicts, or maybe they did have a problem, but at that time they didn't have anything on them. This is wildly inappropriate.
Sure about that?
I'm positive.
Mind if we look?
Yeah,
They're going to find
ahead.
drugs.
Is that all right?
I mean, like, they've
You have
got
a
to,
problem
right?
with
Like,
that?
they just left the dope house. They're going to find the drugs.
Okay. We're going to
And,
walk up there, and I'm going to have you sit
Had
on
this
your
been
hood.
done a different
And
way,
I'm going to ask him
they
to step
would
out of the
be,
car. I'm going to pat
all
him
of this
down for
evidence would
weapons as
be
well.
admissible, but they didn't
Okay.
do that. He just pulled
And then
them
we're
over
going to go ahead
for
and
no
just check the
reason.
car, make sure it's safe, and if everything's okay, then we'll send you on your way. Okay? All right. Let's walk up there.
Police cannot just pull you over just to check you out. They have to have a reason to do it. And this guy doesn't have a reason.
You can pull
He's
him
on
out
cops and
pat
he
him.
wants
We
to
got
he wants to
permission.
look cool on cops.
This is
Now
your
this
car,
guy's
right?
getting pulled out.
Yeah.
Okay, just go ahead and have a seat right there on the hood. And
4 north, 3 clear.
That's some Brillo right here. There's a crack pipe in the car.
he does?
Yeah, just step back.
Okay.
424 Henry.
Yeah, you got her permission. My partner found some paraphernalia in the car. Okay, you're not probably going to go to jail for anything like that. Just a matter of procedure. I'm going to ask you to put the cigarette out. I'm going to put some handcuffs on you. Like I said, chances are you're not going to go to jail. Okay, if we're all being honest here, and I don't find anything more consequential in the car, we'll move on to bigger and better things. Okay.
Interesting.
Is there
So I
anything
guess
in
her
the car I
license
should be
isn't
concerned about?
suspended.
Are you sure? Okay, I'm not concerned about a crack pipe. Be honest with me.
He might have some dope on him.
Where would it be?
Oh my gosh, she's gonna rat this guy out now too. Ugh.
Read your rights here real quick.
Oh my gosh.
What's your first name? Dean. Dean, you have the right to remain silent.
Where'd they find the crack pipe?
206.
Because constructive possession's a thing now.
What the deputy apparently has found, I'm guessing, is going to be some crack cocaine. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fairly big rocks. She says that he bought it. Wasn't sure if he still had it in his pocket or if he ditched it in the car. Apparently he's ditched in the car.
All right, so they found a substance wrapped in a napkin on the floor of the vehicle. It wasn't in his pocket. It was on the floor of the vehicle. Now, there's two things that this cop's got to do. I mean, other than the fact that this is almost definitely not going to be admissible because of the terrible stop that this is. But this is what I'm getting at. These drugs will go back on. Well, I mean, they're not going to go back on the street because they're going to take them and they'll never get them back. But the point I'm making is that the work that these cops is doing and that the attorneys are going to have to do after this is just like, this is wasted time in the court system that could have been avoided had this cop just done a proper stop, because this is going to take months for them to work this out now. And people are going to jail. Like most likely the man's going to jail, and it sounds like the woman might be, despite what the officer said, because now they found a considerable amount of drugs in this guy's, or at least, in this napkin. So there's two issues though here, outside of everything I just said. Is this actually drugs, right? I mean, you and I looking at this, we know that's probably drugs, right? But that's not enough for the courts. You got to know that it's drugs, because it could be something else. There's lots of different substances on this planet. We don't know what this actually is. So they're going to have to do a field test kit in order to get a presumptive positive for cocaine, which is likely what it looks like. It looks like it's crack. The other, but even bigger issue, I would say, is that they found it on the floor, right? So if it's her car, it's going to be a presumptive that it's her drugs. But where was it found in the car? If it was found on the passenger's floor, then, which is where he was sitting, then there's a good argument to be made that he just took it out of his pocket and threw it on the floor. But here's where the rubber meets the road. And this is the rub that they're going to come into with the state attorney, is that if she says that it's his and he says that it's hers, that's constructive possession. You've got a defense that it's not mine, it's theirs. And with the burden that the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, you've got a reasonable doubt that if I'm representing the man, the reasonable doubt is that, well, it's her car, it was found on the floorboards, he's saying that it's hers. That's a reasonable doubt. And if she says it's his, it's on the passenger side, it was in his pocket, he took it out, that's reasonable that it's not hers. And so they both lose, and this is a nothing case.
When I walked up to the car, he said, I'm not going to lie to you, we've been smoking crack. And I said, well, where's your crack pipe at? And he said, it's under the seat. He starts to look under the seat. So then I had him step out, and then you walked up.
Yeah, she said that they've been going out for a couple months, that she is a dope user and alcoholic. She's not sure about him using dope. Told her we were interested in what's in the car and she could walk. And she said that he had the dope and it was in his shirt pocket, but that he may have stashed it in the car.
So you think she'll be back, or lesson learned?
Woo. Terrible. Just terrible. All right, so final thoughts on this one are, just one of the worst stops that I've seen since I've started doing this. I mean, I've already gone into the details of it. It's just, we all have a right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. In this situation, it's both a illegal seizure and an unreasonable search. You've got issues with constructive possession. You've got issues with, presumptive positive for it being drugs. I mean, I didn't see them test the drugs, so we don't even know if it actually is illegal. It's reasonable if they don't test it, that it's just, I don't know, flour and water that's hardened, or maybe she has a kid that does crafts and it's just left over in a napkin. It could be other things is the point that I'm trying to get at. I mean, I look at that and you look at that and we both know that it's drugs, but the standard is higher in the court system. We're talking about putting people in jail. So you've got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And this officer is held to a high standard. He's got to do it the right way in order to make sure that we all live in a free society and that our rights aren't being violated. But in this situation, I mean, their rights were absolutely violated. I mean, say what you want to about their lifestyle, say what you want to about them being drug addicts or not being drug addicts, coming out of a dope house and all that stuff. The stop was bad. The investigation was bad. And this one's likely going to get kicked out. So, hey, it's me. I forgot to film an outro. So this is coming at a different time and it's the same place, but yeah. So if you liked what you saw, leave me a like. And if you really liked it, subscribe. I'm going to start posting these every Thursday, I guess, until I stop doing it. So if you like what you saw, leave me a like, leave me a comment. If you really liked it, tell me what you think. And did you think the stop was bad? Because different minds, reasonable minds can differ. So see you on the next one.